And we are live on YouTube and we are live as well on this amazing Thursday night. This is the Alexander technique for all those who are interested in releasing some tension out of you guys' singing, right? And we're gonna also talk about how that can apply to your posture and how can you be a better singer. And I'm going to introduce now my guest who knows more about that than I do. So this is Shian Li Goh, and Shian Li is a graduate of the School of the FM Alexander Studies. She has classical vocal training, and she has background and she has participated in various singing competitions. She has been exploring the use of the voice through the training, and she shares her discoveries with people of the same interest. She is also a practitioner. She's a chiropractor, and she's a practitioner, and having graduated with distinction from RMIT, which is the university in Melbourne, Australia, with a bachelor's and master's in clinical chiropractic. So let's start over there. I have some voice background as well. She was the RMIT Idol finalist. Oh yeah, if you're not in mute, please mute yourself. I think I have Anka or something. I'm gonna mute you. All right, cool. Let's continue here. So she in 2016, she participated in the Take the Mic singing competition in Melbourne, Australia. In 2019, she had an advanced diploma of Alexander Technique Teaching School for Alexander Studies in Melbourne. And then in 2020, so this year, wow, she participated in Go Go Super Voice, which is a national online singing competition, and received an elite award. So welcome, Shian Li. Woohoo!
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Melly, for having me as a guest speaker. I'm really excited to share about the Alexander technique and what it can do for your voice and posture.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Tell us about, where does your love for singing begins? I always like to know, like, where do people begin? How did that got there in your heart?
So I started singing, started classical training when I was in primary school, so maybe about 7 or 8 years old, because I really wanted to join the singing competition at school. So I started taking classes. And then after a while, until up to maybe I was about 15 or 16, then I started liking pop songs a bit more. So I started taking more keyboard classes so I could start like singing and playing at the same time, and then starting to develop more of a pop sound. And then eventually my vocal teacher actually told me about Alexander technique, but there wasn't any teachers in Malaysia. So when I went abroad to Australia to develop my chiropractic studies, I found a school that has Alexander technique. So I went for a week, and then I fell in love with the technique. So after I finished my chiropractic training, I started working, and then I went in for another 3-year course in Alexander technique. So every Thursday we would explore voice. And then during that process, I entered the Take the Mic competition as well. So that helped me a lot during the process to find my voice while I was training and competing.
So, Awesome. Amazing. So for those of us who do not know what the Alexander technique is, what is the Alexander technique and where did it came from? Where did it come from?
So the Alexander technique is about learning how to use yourself in a more effective or efficient way without excess or unnecessary muscular tension holding. So how do we do that? We do that by first identifying certain unhelpful habits that you may have that might be interfering with your natural poise and balance of your body. So how it was founded was that the founder himself, F.M. Alexander, was an actor or Shakespearean reciter, to be precise, and he
Mm.
started to develop a condition of hoarseness of voice. And then eventually he started to lose his voice on stage. So back then, he went to doctors which prescribed him with voice rest. So he rested for a couple of weeks and then he felt better when he was speaking. So he went back up on stage and started to recite. But within the first hour, he started to lose his voice again. So then, yeah, so interesting. So then he started to think, what was it that he was doing to himself that was causing him to lose his voice? So what are the bad vocal habits that he has? So he explored for many, many months with a lot of mirrors around him, and he noticed three main things. So the first one, he was scrunching his neck or his head back and down. So what that means is you can see there's this junction between your head and your neck. So he was doing this. So as you do this, I'm not sure if you can hear, but my voice has already changed and it doesn't feel as comfortable. And nowadays you see this not only like with speakers or singers, but computer work, everyone's just like that. So that's
Mm.
just, yeah, that's just quite harmful through here. That was the first one. The second one, he was gasping in air after each sentence. So after finishing each sentence, he would go, and then, so the gasping in air was harmful for the throat. And then the third one, he was putting too much tension or depressing his larynx. So that were the three findings that he found. And then eventually he started to discover this technique, which is now called Alexander technique, whereby he was able to prevent and solve his voice problem. So the technique involves a bit of what he called a primary control. So what that means is just having a nice balance of your head, neck, and spine. So where your head is nicely poised and balanced on top of your spine, and your whole back is lengthening and widening. So he was able to maintain that coordination while he was reciting and thereby helping with his voice. So it's used and taught a lot in music schools and voice performance schools. But then nowadays it's actually used by people in all walks of life, like whether you're a student, your office worker, your athlete, just to help restore your natural poise and balance. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that idea of like, if you're singing, don't do the turtleneck, because then that's gonna apply a lot of tension while you sing. And I feel like
Yeah.
because we're so used to like looking down at our phones and like being in that environment of technology, or being in the computer, right? We're all the time like this, and that is causing unnecessary tension. Wow. So if I'm a beginner, what is crucial for me to know about this technique while I'm singing?
So, if you're a beginner, the most important thing to know is that when you're speaking or when you're singing, your body is your instrument. So, for example, when you're playing the piano or the guitar or the violin, you take good care of the instrument. But when you're singing and speaking, you are the instrument. So, you need to take good care of your overall coordination. So, in Alexander Technique, we look not just about your voice here, but how your overall posture affects your voice. So whether you're slumping down this way, you're holding tension in your low back, you're arching up, you're tensing here. So every single thing that you do in your whole body can actually affect your voice production. Yes.
Wow. I mean, you would think that is, if I can sing in tune, or if I can do this, or if I or the breathing, which we would get to, but this is such an amazing concept. It's more of like your body posture is going to provide the amazing sound that you're looking for, right? Which is
Yes.
something that I don't think we most of us exercise that much when we're actually singing, right? So okay, so can you show us how breathing works in the Alexander technique, more or less?
Yes, so in Alexander Technique, we look at something called the natural reflexive in-breath. So what that means is like when you're listening right now or when you're sleeping, normally your body automatically knows how to take in breath. So you automatically know how to breathe. But then what happens sometimes is that we interfere with it too much. So we try to go like, okay, I need to breathe through here, or I need to push my abdomen up, I need to tense, I need to do something. So, but sometimes doing too much actually restricts or stops that natural breathing. So in a moment, I'm going to share a video of how the natural breathing works. But before that, I was just like everyone just to think about, where do you think your lungs are located or situated? So where is the top of the lungs? Where is the bottom of the lungs? Where are the side of the lungs? Are they in the front? Are they in the back? Where are the borders of the lungs? Just have to think about that. And then also just take a few breaths to notice when you breathe, which parts move. Does the neck move? Yeah. Does the chest move? Does the abdomen move? Or even the back? Does the rib cage go all the way to the back? Yeah. And then, okay, now following that, the third one, we're going to do something called a controlled exhalation. So what that means is we're going to focus on the out breath instead of the in breath. So on the out breath, you're going to extend your breath, whether without a sound, or you can do like a sound or a sound. So you're just extending the breath all the way out through your mouth, and then you're going to close your mouth and then allow the breath to come in through your nose. So we're going to do it together. So and then close your mouth and just allow the breath to come in through your nose. Yeah, and then again, just observe which parts actually move, and do it again and just extending. Yeah, and just allowing the breath to come in again. So just do it a couple of times while I'm just going to share screen and show you a video.
This feels so nice. I feel already relaxed. Wow. Very nice.
Yes.
So
It's
we
really
are
good
just
for performance anxiety. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, don't we all need that, right? I mean, I feel I need a little bit of that breath right now, being a host. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I've just shared screen. This is a video. Okay, I'm just going to change the sound. Okay, so this is a video by Jessica Wolf, who is an Alexander teacher as well. So I'm just going to play this. You can see how the ribs just go up and down as you breathe in and out. And they move all the way even up through your shoulder blades, even through the back. See how they just spring open? And this is your diaphragm here. So as it goes down, air comes in. As it goes up, air comes out. And this is where your lungs are. So they actually go all the way to the back. So a lot of people are not aware of this. And you have a lot of layers of muscles just covering all this. Yep, so you can see through the video how natural breathing occurs. So you can't just restrict breathing just to your chest or just to your abdomen, because everything moves. And then also just paying attention to all the layers of muscles that cover it. So therefore, if you're standing in a bad posture, you're slumping, you're putting tension in your back, all that actually restricts breathing and then therefore affects your sound. So yes, that's how it works in a nutshell.
That is super cool. I love the fact that that we get to see that, and that we're thinking about that 360 breathing, right? So front, sides, back. So if we were like, for example, if I were here, right, I have my I have the back of my chair, and so I'm trying to expand towards the chair, right? I'm trying to
Yes.
breathe in. And when I breathe in, let's say I take a breath through my nose, then I can feel the back expanding towards the chair. It's almost like the back is pushing the chair, right? So
Yes.
very cool and very interesting. I love it. Okay, very.
Yes. So actually, so sometimes you can actually try laying on your tummy and breathing as well, which is something that we don't do. So when you do that, sometimes you're more aware of actually how the back actually expands so much more.
Oh, let me try it. One sec. No, just kidding. Okay, great. Awesome. I will be trying that while I sleep tonight. Okay, so how can we feel if our support is working while we're singing, right? Because when you're just breathing is one thing, but when you're singing, like how can we do that?
Okay, so a good support to me is actually having a good balance between your first two components of voice production, which is your breath support and also your vibrators. So I'll show you guys what it means in a bit. I'm just going to share a screen for a bit. Okay, so these are your three basic elements of voice production. So the first one is the breath, which is the power source that we just looked at with the whole breathing thing. And then the second part is your larynx, which is your vibrator, which is through here, your voice box. So when the air comes up and hits the vocal cords, it creates a sound, which is then amplified by the resonator, which we'll look at further on. Okay, so a good support to me is having a good balance of the air coming up and hitting your vocal cords. So what that means when you're singing is, for example, a sound that is lacking in support will be very breathy and airy. So it's like a, I will always love you. So it's really airy. And what it happens through here, I'm just going to stand up for a bit. Okay, so through here, if you're lacking of support, it collapses all the way. So when I sing, I will always have you. So that's like really lacking of support. I'm just pushing all my air out. But then what people do in the opposite is that we go like, okay, we need full support. So we're pushing everything out. So that's the total opposite, but you're tensing everything out. So what happens with this is you might get a loud sound, but it's really dry and hard on your throat. So I will always love you. So it's loud, but I'm like tensing everything. So what we want is a controlled exhalation, like when we did just now, like a slow going in. So I will always love you. So it doesn't go all the way down. It doesn't push out, but it just slowly goes down. So that's just like the right amount of air coming up and hitting the vocal cords. Yeah, so that's what support means to me.
Awesome. Control breathing out, basically.
Yes.
Okay. That sounds amazing. Very good. I love your voice. Can you explain to us how breathing helps the vocal cords vibrate? Because like now we get what it means to have support, to have a strong sound through support. So how does the vocal cords vibrate?
Okay, so so you remember from the screen share just now of the three components, right? So the first is your air. So I'm gonna use this plastic bag to represent air. You can see this. So this is air in your lungs. So that's your lungs. And then on top of this is where your vocal cords or your larynx sit. So this is a big and large model of your vocal cords. So this is basically just through here where your thyroid cartilage is. And you can see, can you see through here? How the slits just open and close. So those are your vocal cords that will open and close like when you speak or when you breathe. So what happens is that you've got your air here with your lungs and then this on top, right? So as you breathe out or when you sing, air comes out through here and then it hits the vocal cords that sits right on top. So it's like a rubber band. So when air hits this thing, they start to vibrate and then a sound is produced. So that's actually how air, helps the vocal cords vibrate. Yeah.
Awesome. So that, can you show us again that little model that you have of the vocal cords? And so when you showed us that that little view, those are the two muscles that produce the sound, right? The vocal cords, and they're stretching up and down to produce the sound, right? Just like that.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, so you can see like when it opens up, there's a hole. So basically, when you breathe in, it opens wide so air can go in. But when you speak, when you produce a sound, it closes. So the vocal cords close together so that when air is blown through it, a sound is produced. But if you're just breathing in and out without speaking or without sound, it just opens, it stays open. So the air doesn't hit it and then there's no sound. But when it closes, air goes out and then it produces sound. And then it can go like thicker or thinner or vibrate faster or slower to create like the different thickness in your voice or different pitch. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. This is so interesting. I mean, I don't know if you guys know all of this, but this is just very nice to see everything so clear and so there. Awesome. Okay, wonderful. We're gonna continue here. So what does voice tone mean to you? What is it? Because I've had many questions about singers who's like, I don't like my voice tone. I want to make it more rich. I want to make it more, as an artist. How can I do that?
So voice tone to me it's something that differentiates everyone. So like when you speak, people know it's you, and I speak, people know it's me. But voice tone also means voice quality. So voice quality is then something that you can change or manipulate. So having a good voice quality depends on the support as well, but it also depends on the third component, which is your resonator. So what that means is, I'm going to share a screen again. Okay, so it's going to go next. Yeah, so voice, this is your vocal tract through here. So you have here through the back of your throat here, like a air cavity, a space, and then through your mouth here as well, it's a space through there. Sorry, one sec. I think something's just playing in the background.
I don't hear it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just starting to hear. Oh, because I didn't mute the video that we played just now, so it just continued playing. One sec. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, so we're saying with the resonators. So you remember how the air comes out and then it produces sound when it vibrates, but then the sound that it produces is really soft. So it's like a guitar string. So once you hit the string, it's really soft, but then that's why you need the big guitar body to amplify the sound. So in our body, the amplifier is actually our resonator through the vocal tracts at the back, which is through here, the pharynx, and also your mouth here. So if you do certain habits that compromises the space through here, for example, like Alexander's habit of doing this, you can see how it actually narrows the space, and therefore you don't have as much resonance when you speak or when you sing. Or if you hold too much tension through your mouth and through your jaw, that again affects the quality of the voice. So for example, like if you say that the tone of your voice is very nasally or just very thin, so you might be doing this. So for example, if I were just to sing an ah sound, like a ah, that's a normal ah sound. But then if I have a habit of doing this, I would end up sounding ah versus so it changes immediately. And then also if you're tensing your jaw through here, again, it's really nasally, it doesn't sound nice. And then if you just drop your jaw and open up the space, it changes. So that changes your tone as well. So that's a way to sort of change the quality and the tone of your voice. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so you said that there was this little space. So that space is where the air travels out, right? And then you sing through your mouth, and you sing and also, there's some points of resonance through your larynx, right, for
Mm-hmm.
like the lower notes and things like that. Do you think that, because we're human, right? So whenever we are reaching like a very low note or like a very high note, um, do you think like squeezing the throat, it's also part of some principle of the Alexander technique? Does that fall into that, or is it mainly like how you are, how you do your posture?
So in Alexander technique, so any squeezing, usually we try to stop any squeezing. So we want to undo the squeezing. So let's say you may not be doing this habit, but you might be pushing here or the tongue down when you're trying to get low. So when you go to low notes, instead of just allowing the space, you might be doing like a oh, oh sound sort of thing through there. So you might not be doing this, but you're gripping through here. So there's a lot of muscles that cover your throat and everything. So we don't want to do that. So we still want to release to give space so that you can reach that oh note instead of like oh. Yeah, so even with high notes, the same thing. So we'll identify the different habits they're doing. But in the general principle, we don't want any excess tension. We want expansion. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Awesome. Thank you very much. So what role does the Alexander technique play while singing? Like, does it help us? We already kind of mentioned that it helped us with throat tension a little bit, but can you expand more on that?
Yes, so with Alexander technique, the main thing is that it helps you sing in a more effortless way. So, but how we do that is with the help of Alexander teacher, they'll be able to point out to you your habits of vocal misuse that you might not be aware of. So, like we mentioned with the low notes or the high notes, or some people even just with standing, like even if a lot of people stand this way when they sing, or they do this when they sing. So that actually all affects the voice as well. So, or just different tensions through here. So after identifying that, will help the student to be aware how to release those tensions so that they can stop doing their old habit and re-educate their body and their voice to sing in a new way that is more efficient and less strenuous on their voice, or creates like a better quality of voice. Yeah, just without as extension. So it makes singing a bit more fun and sustainable as well. Yeah.
Okay, so watch out for the posture. People, just kidding. Very important, because sometimes we start singing and, and maybe we're tired that day. So we'll just, hang on the couch and start singing or whatever. And sometimes like it's good to sit up straight, right? And to create that long posture for the breathing to be the best quality, and the sound as well. This is so awesome. I'm so happy that you're here with us. Okay, how can we project our voices while singing without tension? I feel like I have so many people coming to me on the YouTube channel with like, I'm trying to sing the high note, and and I sound screechy, or I sound like it's tensing, or like, so how can we project our voices so we can sound, beautiful and strong without that unnecessary tension?
Yes, so projecting the voice. So the first thing that you need to know is when you want to project your voice, you do not have to push yourself forward. So I've seen this in a lot of speakers and singers, so including myself when I was starting out in a competition, like there was no feedback, so I couldn't hear myself. So I ended up just like straining my voice because I wanted everyone to hear me. So, but what I ended up doing was I was just pushing myself forward, which actually discoordinated my whole system. So the voice just couldn't came out. And after that, it just felt really bad through here. So what we need to understand firstly is if we want to project our voice, do not push yourself forward. You still need to be aware of your own coordination. So to further expand on this point, I'm going to borrow a concept by a famous acting coach. Her name is Patsy Rodenberg, I'm not sure if you guys heard of her, but she talks about this 3 circles of energy where you have the first, second, and third circle. So I'm just going to share screen one more time to show you the 3 circles. Yep, so you can see, so usually when we push ourselves and strain ourselves projecting forward, we're usually in the third circle. So our attention is fully on our audience. So we're not aware of what I'm doing to myself at all. So I just want to be heard. So with that, you get that screechy sound. So I'm just going to demonstrate with another phrase of a song. So like I'll be pushing myself. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. It's loud, but it doesn't feel too good through here. But now if we move to the first circle, which is we're totally aware of our coordination. I'm looking after myself and my posture, but then I might end up really soft. So, hello from the other side. At least I can say that I've tried. So it's really comfortable, but I don't think the audience can hear me. So where we want to be is in this second circle, which she calls the circle of presence. So what happens through here is that I'm still aware of myself and my posture and my coordination, but at the same time, I'm sending my intention out to the audience. So I'm aware of myself and I'm aware of the audience. So it sort of goes in like a two-way direction instead of a one-way. So for example, it'll go, hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. So I get more depth. I'm just more centered through me, but it's still projected out that way. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Wow, that is a game changer there. Because I feel like it's important to keep in mind that, you know, that you're projecting towards your audience, that you're singing towards them. But at the same time, I always reference with my students, like try to do things at a medium volume, right? So not too loud, not too soft, something in between. I didn't know I had like a cool technical name. So that is very, very awesome that you bring us this amazing information here. And I feel like this really changes the game, because in some sense it's not you being, it's not you destroying your vocal cords. It's you getting closer to the microphone and like letting the mic do the work, right? In case you're going live, you don't have to scream it out, right? So it's important to establish that kind of like that middle ground, I guess. Awesome. I have like a random word. I know that we'll pass on, because I have a couple of questions here in the chat, and if you are watching from YouTube, you can also post your questions very quickly. And basically, the question that I had was, when you are singing very, when you're singing like very loudly, how can you like go back to that middle ground? Like how can you tell you're very loud or very soft? Like how can you tell that?
So you mean like how can you come back to find your own coordination and your own center? Is that the question?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is part of what Alexander found was that he came up with a process, like a set of directions to keep himself in a middle ground. So for example, now if I'm talking, I'm getting really excited and getting forward, and then I lose myself. So then there's this set of directions. So it just goes like, it says like, allow your neck to be free here so that your head can move forwards and up, and your whole back is lengthening and widening. And then whether you're sitting or you're standing. So for example, I'm sitting now, I'm having the support of my sit bones on the chair, and I'm having the support of my feet on the floor. So it's like I'm getting myself reorganized. So I come back to that. So when you're starting off, that may take a while because you're not used to it. But after that, it becomes a normal thing. So when I'm doing this, I go like, okay, I need my center. I just reorganize. It's just as fast as like a zing word, a zap word, and just go, okay, I'm going to reset. Okay, and then I'm going to start off again. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. And I know that we're cutting it close over here. It's just so interesting. I've lost track of time a little. So as singers, when we inhale, we have a couple of questions. So I'm going to read them over here.
Yeah, sure.
So this is from Diana. Hello, Diana Yale. As singers, when we inhale, is our belly supposed to go to go out rather than lifting our chest up?
Yes. So I'm not sure if you saw the video just now. So basically, when you breathe, it's everything should move. So yes, your belly moves out, but the chest may come up as well. So let's just see. I'm not sure you can see. So if I'm restricting through here and I'm just pushing out through here, so I'm doing this, but a lot of times we say that, okay, we stop here and we just chest breathe, then you go. So that's not right either, because you're you're pushing one side out, one part out intentionally. But what we want to do, as you can see from the video just now, is that everything expands normally. So to answer your question, both should move, but then not to push them out too much. So it's like the controlled exhalation that we did. You just breathe out all the way, and then you just allow the in-breath to come in and just notice which parts actually move instead of forcing them out. Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. I love that. Okay. This one is from Nakshatra. Hopefully I said it right. Oh my God. What are the common mistakes done by beginners?
Like for singers or
Like for singing? Tell Nakshatra. Can you unmute yourself and explain what do you mean?
Yeah, for singing. Alexander technique, about Alexander technique.
Oh,
so
about
like
Alexander technique.
For singers or like general posture?
For singers.
For singers. Okay. Okay, so the common thing that I see is what Alexander did, which was this. So a lot of times it might not be as obvious as what I'm doing, but then if you actually put your hands here, the most common is, for example, even like a scale. So especially on the high notes, what people do is they emphasize, but they emphasize it by doing this sudden jerk. So it might not be as obvious, but then if you put your hands through there, there is a slide. So that's usually what we point out to the students if they're not aware of it. That's what I see commonly. And another common thing is people tend to push their air down. So as we see from the breathing, when you breathe out, like when you sing, air actually comes up that way, goes up that way. But when people sing, they tend to push down their voice. So they go, ah, instead of, ah. So it lifts it up more. So a lot of the times they push down. So after explaining to them about the concept of the breathing, how the air moves, yeah, that goes up. So that's some of the common things that I see. Yeah. We can't.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, that makes a lot of sense and nobody could hear me. All right. So this one's from Melissa. Nice name. I love it. Tips on releasing tension in the tongue. Do you have any tips?
Yes. So releasing tension in the tongue, it's a common thing with singers. Like when I first started as well, I tend to control my tongue a lot and trying to push it back down. But sometimes I end up pushing it down too much that it was depressing my larynx. So with this one, the easy way is to put your 2 fingers under this area, which is where your tongue is. So when you sing, you if you push it down too much, like it pokes out, like it juts out, and it's really hard. But if you push in, and it's like soft and bouncy, then it means that it's okay. But if you're pushing it down, it means that you're doing something to your tongue. Yeah.
That's pretty fun and interesting. Okay, great. There's a one from Young. When we exercise, whisper a sitting is better than lying down.
Oh, the whispered so he means the controlled exhalation, I think. Yeah.
So Young, are you in the crowd?
Hello.
Tell us what you mean.
Hello. I mean exercise whisper
Yep.
whisper like a sitting is
okay.
better than lying down when we are exercise whisper
Okay, yes. Yeah, so the whispered ah that she's referring to is actually an exercise in Alexander technique where we focus on the controlled exhalation that we did earlier on. So with that, I usually for a start recommend people to do it laying down, because when you're laying down, you can observe the movement of the chest and of your belly and everything much more easier. So you can do it actually laying face up, or as I mentioned just now, face down. So for beginners, I usually suggest laying down. Then once you're more familiar with it, then start sitting up, because that's closer to how you would speak and sing. So start laying down.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Just a couple more here. So we have Dylan Jones. He says, what are some exercises I can do to remedy my bad posture? Like how should I sit during the day?
Yeah, so that's a common question that I get a lot. So the thing to understand about posture is that it should not be fixed. So a common concept with posture is you need to sit, shoulders back up, everything straight up. But the problem is when you do this, you actually tension everything. So a good way to correct your posture is to find that internal support. So so from the video I showed just now, so just imagine the middle, the skeleton, so like the core support or the center of the spine. So you want that center support. So just an easy guide is, for example, okay, you're sitting in front of a computer. The first thing you need to do is find your points of support through your sitting bones. So the two bumps that you can find at the butt area. So just move them around to find a center point. So I'm just gonna see if you can see me. Oops. So if you're arching this way too much, you're sitting on the front of the sitting bones. So that's not good, you're not balanced. You're slouching this way, you're too much on the back of the sitting bones. That's not good. So you wanna find a balance point where you're just nicely balanced on top of your sitting bones. And then from there, you have your spine that connects all the way up through the top of your neck, through here. So then once you have that support, you're nicely supported all the way up through the top here. So then with this, you don't want to be collapsing this way, but you just want to have that nice center support all the way through up. So yeah, so I think the main thing is always find your points of support first.
Very interesting. Very good. Okay. Let me see. How can you be able to identify your pitches perfect? Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying, right? We were saying that in order for your voice to be great, it has to be, everything has to be balanced. Your posture has to be great. Do you have any other tips for that?
Pitch perfect. So I think like another part of it is actually having a good hearing. Yeah, like what you mentioned with the whole support and the resonance, but actually a good hearing as well, because you want to be able to hear if you're in the right note And to do that, you need to be free of tension so you can hear correctly as well. Yeah, that's
Right.
just
So you
another part of it.
will have to go through some ear training exercises maybe, and kind of like matching those two together, right? Matching
Yeah.
the amazing breathing support with the ear training and with your vocal cords. It kind of works like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Very good. All right, a few more over here. When I sing, why does my throat hurt sometimes?
Okay, so if you're singing and your throat hurts, it means that you're doing some bad habits or some poor vocal use, like what Alexander was doing when he started. So Alexander had a habit of scrunching this down, depressing his larynx, or gasping in air after each phrase. So you might or might not be having these habits. So you can explore yourself if you're doing these habits, or you might be doing something different. So you're holding some tension that is causing pain or strain through here. So that one with the help of the Alexander teacher, they might be able to help you identify them if you can't identify them yourself. Yeah. Hope that makes
Awesome.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Very good. Let's see. I just have like thanks for that visual, super helpful from Diana. Melissa says, "Thank you. This has been very educational. This might be a bit of topic, but what foods and drinks should we avoid before a singing performance? Good, it can affect your vocal cords." Yeah, I mean, just like very quick, like what foods do you normally do not touch? Like I have my own, but I want to hear your point of view.
Food wise, I think I generally just don't touch like greasy stuff for me. Like cold and spicy is still not too bad for me, but like greasy stuff or like a lot of cheese, oily stuff that creates a lot, I don't know, like mucus and phlegm for me. So yeah, so those are the stuff that I don't touch. Yeah.
Totally. I do not touch bananas before I sing because it
Oh,
just like accumulates all the phlegm of the world, you know.
yeah.
So I can totally relate, and the cheese and the milk and anything that is
Mm,
greasy and sticks in your vocal cords, basically.
yep.
Okay, good. So we're gonna start wrapping this up because we're almost there. That was very helpful. Thank you. Um, we have like what kinds of chairs and pillow is good for posture? I mean,
Yeah, I get that question a lot as a chiropractor as well. So, okay, so in terms of Alexander technique, the chair actually doesn't matter as much um, because if you learn how to look after your own posture and coordination, technically you should be able to adapt yourself to different chairs. So although it'll be better if like you're sitting the whole day and you have a nice chair with a back support and all this stuff, that would help. But the most important thing is actually knowing how to look after yourself instead of relying on something. But in terms of pillows, okay, so pillows, it depends if you're a back sleeper or a side sleeper. So if you're a side sleeper, you need a pillow with a higher support. If you're a back sleeper, maybe not so high, but the thing that you need to look after is like your spine. So basically your head, if you're sleeping on your side, make sure it's straight. It's not down this way and it's not up this way. So make sure the spine is straight. So the same thing if you're a back sleeper, it's not tilted back this way and it's not down this way. So the spine is straight. Yeah.
I would never thought of that. I'm definitely a side sleeper, and it's like, yeah, that's great. Okay, so we are almost to the time over here. Um, let's see. So whenever I sing, my voice sounds so good in the starting, but after some time it changes and my vocals get tired. So what can I do in that case? Like something little, a little tip that you can give us.
Okay, so with that, again, it depends on what you're doing to yourself. So you might have different habits that you're doing to yourself, but okay, a good tip is to notice when you're singing, when you start to get tired, are you still aware of your body and your center? Are you pushing yourself forward? And are you doing this? So when you notice that, draw yourself back to the center, find your feet, find your spine, find your back. So that's a good tip. Yeah.
All right, that was amazing. I really, really appreciate it. Any advice for, sorry, I skipped one. I should breathe naturally, but sometimes I try to control my breathing. What should I do? So, yeah, I feel like the breathing is allowing the air to return without taking a breath, like without doing that. I feel just, make sure that you are feeling that 360 breathing, right? That expanding, not necessarily only in the chest or in the lower abdominal muscles, but working as a whole, right? Any other tips for that? I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. So actually not trying to do too much to it and just observe and allow the natural breath to come in. Yeah.
Natural breath. That's it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Maritza says, any advice for jaw pain or TMG issues for a singer? If you have any.
Okay, so jaw pain. So a lot of people hold a lot of tension through their jaw. So I think the most important thing is, okay, so even now when you're closing your mouth, check if your teeth at the back, if they're touching. So a lot of people are not aware that they're clenching when they are clenching. So when you're closing, your lips are closed, technically the mouth, your teeth at the back should not be touching. So if you're doing that all the time, all day round, that's going to put a lot of tension through there. So when you're singing, it just restricts your movement through your jaw. And when you sing as well, just observe if you're going is it just opening out? Yeah, that's just a quick way to find out. Yeah.
Oh my God, I felt my teeth creeping in and I'm like, oh God, I need to release that.
Yeah, so that.
That's amazing information. Thank you so much. Okay, in your opinion, is sitting on a yoga ball good or better for posture? Actually, I would like to know that too, because I had so many people come to me and say, if you sit on the yoga ball, it's better for you. What do you think?
Actually sitting on a yoga ball, because it stops you from fixing your posture. Like I mentioned just now, good posture doesn't mean fixing everything. So when you sit on a yoga ball, you actually actively have to coordinate your center or your core. So that's why it actually helps you, with your posture and your singing. Yeah.
Everybody with the yoga ball now. Let's go and buy yoga balls. Okay, great. All right. Well, that is it. Thank you, Melly and Shian. This has been extremely fascinating and helpful. I actually put everybody can follow Shian at sagecairoalexander.com. Her email is Shian at sagecairoalexander.com. I put that on YouTube, and also I put this on here on Zoom. And then I attached the YouTube channel on both places, so you guys can go and follow her and stalk her and ask her millions of questions and work with her if it's something that if it's something that is related to what you want to learn. I am so grateful for your time. Somebody's asking if you have Instagram.
Yes, so I've got Facebook and Instagram as well. So you can just search up Sage Chiropractic and Alexander Technique Center.
Okay, so Sage
Chiropractic
and
Alexander Technique Center.
And Alexander Technique Center.
So it's on Instagram and on Facebook as well. And if you go to my website, there should be links to my Instagram, and YouTube and Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We've learned lots, and now we're more aware of our bodies and how to sing beautifully. And it's so great to finally meet you face to face. Hopefully, one day when all this craziness is over, I'll be able to travel to Malaysia, and we can have I don't know, what do you drink, or what do you do on Malaysia? Do you have, I'm guessing teas, right? Do you like?
Yeah.
Well, I love
Yes.
tea.
Tea. We've got milk teas. Anything.
Perfect. So we'll have a tea together whenever that is,
Yes. Yeah.
right. And thank you again for your wonderful information. Thank you guys for asking such great questions. And please go into my website, mellymusiclessons.com. We have more amazing webinars coming up with amazing, guests. The next one is going to be super great, just like this one. So make sure to sign up over there, or I guess I haven't put it on, so you can't sign up yet. But you can just go and find out that, and subscribe to the website, subscribe to my mailing list to be notified. Okay. So thank you again for your time, and I'll see you hopefully soon, right?
Yes. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for listening.